Lesson 10.3, Three-Dimensional Figures. A solid is a 3D figure that encloses a part of space. A polyhedron is a solid that is enclosed by polygons. The face of a 3D figure is the polygon that is a side of a polyhedron. So it's the polygon in your 3D figure. A prism has two congruent bases that lie in parallel planes. A pyramid is a polyhedron with one base. A cylinder is a solid with two congruent circular bases that lie in parallel planes. A cylinder is not a polyhedron because it has a circular base, and a polyhedron has polygons for bases, and circles are not polygons. A cone is another solid with one circular base. A sphere is a solid formed by all points in space that are on the same distance from a fixed point. The edge of a solid is where two faces meet. It's the line segment where two faces meet. The vertex is the point where three or more edges meet. Here are some examples of solids and three-dimensional figures. This is a prism. If you can remember back to our definition, a prism is a polyhedron with two congruent bases that lie in parallel planes. The bases here are a square and the other side a square, connected by rectangles. This is another prism, rectangle base, rectangle sides. This is also a prism. You can see the base is a polygon, it's a polyhedron then. It is a hexagon. Two hexagons connected by rectangles. This is also a prism. The bases are the triangles. There's always two bases and rectangles connecting them. These are all prisms. We also talked about a pyramid. Pyramids actually look something like this. It has one base, and this is a square pyramid because it's a square bottom, connected, and that has triangles connected to one point, one vertex. This is also a pyramid, triangle base, triangle sides. This is a triangular pyramid. So these are two pyramids. Cylinder kind of looks like a can, two circular bases, and then it's connected on all points by one rectangle. This is actually a rectangle, this part, if I flatten it. Also another cylinder, just a little different size. Cone. This is a cone. It has one circular base. So again, the difference between a cylinder and a cone is that the cylinder has two circles as bases. The cone has one. Kind of looks like an ice cream cone. And then the sphere would look like this. This shape is a prism, has two congruent bases, and you can see they pointed this out. We technically would call this a triangular prism because of the triangle bases. We then have a pyramid, one base, technically called a square pyramid because of the square base. All faces are triangles here, where the prism was rectangle. So even though they both have triangle bases, even though both have triangles in it, this is connected by rectangles, this is connected by triangles. Next one is a cylinder, two circular bases, different than a cone because a cone has one. And then you have a center point, which is a sphere, where all points are the same distance from a fixed point called the center. Example 1, classify this solid. This solid only has one base. It's a circular base, so it's either a cylinder or a cone. Because it has one circular base, we call it a cone. It is not a polyhedron because a circle is not a polygon. You can call a cone a solid, you can call it a 3D figure, but you cannot call it a polyhedron. Example 2, let's classify the solid, then count the number of faces, edges, and vertices. You can see this is all connected by triangles, so it's some sort of pyramid. The bottom is a hexagon, so I would call it a hexagonal pyramid. The faces are the flat part of the shape. So here's one face. I would say this is 1, this side is 2, this has a 3 space, the back has 4 faces, here's 5 on the side, 6 right here, and then always remember to count the base. So there is 7 faces. The edges are the line segments that connect the faces, so like right there, so that's 1, here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we go to the bottom. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm going to say there's 12 edges. Vertices are the points that connect the edges. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the top point. 7 vertices, sorry. 6 on the bottom, and then we can count the top, which is 7. I'm not going to ask you too much to sketch a solid, but if you do want to know, there's 2 ways to do it. You could start with the 2 bases, and then you connect them, and you've probably done this in art class before. The back part, you kind of make as dashes, because that's the part that if you were looking at it, you can't really see. The second way is to start at the top, and then the front, and the side. So those are 2 different ways to represent a solid. Again, I'm not going to ask you too much to sketch, and anytime you see the word sketch, you can just skip it. Don't skip the problem, just skip the sketching. So number 1, 2, and 3, classify the solid and then tell whether it's a polyhedron or not. If it has polygon sides, it's a polyhedron. If it has circles, it's not. Pause the video, try 1, 2, and 3. You can see number 1 has a rectangular, it has a triangles, 2 triangles. I would call this a prism. Triangular prism to be exact, because it's a triangle sides, or bases. It is a polyhedron. This has 2 circles on the side. This is a cylinder, and it's not a polyhedron because of the circles. This is obviously a sphere, and nope, it's a circle, so it's not a polyhedron. And here's how you would sketch it if I were asking you to sketch. You do not have to do this one. What I do want you to do is figure out how to count the faces, edges, and vertices. So this is the only reason why you would want to sketch it, because it can help you count the faces, edges, and vertices. So the faces are 1, 2, 3, 4. Edges are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Vertices 1, 2, 3, 4.